It was another sunny afternoon at Lincoln Elementary. The kind of day when the air smelled faintly of chalk and freshly cut grass. 8-year-old Amara Johnson walked into her classroom, her dark brown skin glowing under the light streaming through the windows. She carried her backpack tightly, filled with notebooks, crayons, and her latest pride, a painting she had worked on for days. Amara loved to paint. Every brushstroke was a little piece of her heart, a splash of her imagination. But today, the classroom felt heavy, almost suffocating. Her classmates were already seated, whispering and giggling. One of the kids, Samantha, a girl with pale skin and blonde hair, glanced at Amara and sneered. "You still use brown paper?" Samantha asked loudly, ensuring everyone could hear. Amara froze. She held her painting close. Her teacher, Ms. Carter, called roll. But the whispers didn't stop. Other students snickered as Samantha pointed to Amara's dark skin. "Why does she look like that?" Samantha whispered loudly, making everyone laugh. "It's like she's from a different planet." Amara's cheeks flushed, hot and stinging. She wanted to disappear, to vanish into the floor beneath her. But she straightened, gripping her painting tighter. The bell rang for recess, and the classroom erupted. Some kids ran outside, laughing and shouting. Samantha lingered, giving Amara one last scornful look. "You're weird, you know that. No one wants to see your ugly painting," Samantha said, snatching the painting from Amara's hands. Amara's heart sank. She tried to grab it back, but Samantha held it high above her head, waving it around like a trophy. "Look at this, everyone. She thinks she's an artist. What is this even supposed to be? A muddy brown blob?" Samantha laughed, and a few other kids joined in. Amara's eyes welled up. She had never felt so small. She wanted to run, to cry, to scream, anything but stay there under the cruel spotlight. Finally, the teacher intervened. "Okay, that's enough, Samantha. Give the painting back, Ms. Carter said, her tone firm but calm. Samantha rolled her eyes and tossed the painting back to Amara, who held it to her chest like it was a fragile treasure. But the damage was done. Amara could still hear the whispers. "Brown girl. Ugly painting. What a joke." Her tiny hands shook. For the first time, she wondered if maybe they were right. If she was different in a way that made people laugh. At home that evening, Amara sat at her small desk, staring at the painting again. The colors, rich browns, vibrant yellows, and deep blues, seemed to glow under her desk lamp. Her mom, Latoya, entered the room. "Hey, baby girl, how was school?" Amara hesitated. Finally, she said, "Mom, they laughed at me, at my painting, and at me too." Latoya knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. "Oh, my sweet girl, the world can be cruel sometimes, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. That doesn't mean your art isn't beautiful. You're a star, and stars shine brightest in the darkest skies." Amara sniffled, looking at her painting. Could it really shine? Latoya smiled. "Tomorrow, we're going to show the world how bright your star really is." Little did Amara know, that night would be the beginning of something that would change her life forever. Have you ever been laughed at for something that makes you special? How did it feel? Tell us in the comments. Hey there, my wonderful family and friends. Welcome back. If you're ready to dive into today's story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. I love seeing where everyone's watching. And guess what? There's another amazing story coming your way tomorrow. One you definitely don't want to miss. Alright then. Let's get started. The next morning, Amara woke early. The sting from yesterday still lingered, but her mom's words echoed in her mind. Stars shine brightest in the darkest skies. At breakfast, Latoya handed Amara her phone. "I signed you up for the school's online art gallery. Today, your painting will be displayed for everyone to see. The good, the bad, and the curious. But remember, baby, it's your story, your creation. Own it." Amara nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Her hands trembled as she clicked on the submission button, sending her masterpiece. The vivid painting of a radiant tree surrounded by swirling colors. into the school's digital gallery. At school, the whispers from yesterday still lingered. Samantha and a few other students sneered at her from across the hallway. Bet no one even likes your stupid painting, Samantha said under her breath. But something had changed today. Amara held her head a little higher. She remembered her mom's words. She remembered that she had poured all her feelings into that painting. Every stroke, every color. And it was her voice, meanwhile, in another part of town. A local art teacher, Mr. Reynolds, scrolled through the school's online gallery during his morning coffee break. His eyes landed on Amara's painting, and he stopped mid-sip. "Wow, that is incredible," he whispered. He zoomed in, studying the intricate strokes, the rich colors, the emotion radiating from the canvas. Without hesitation, he shared the painting on his personal Instagram account with the caption, "A young artist just blew me away. Everyone, meet Amara Johnson. Her work deserves to be seen." The post immediately began to gain traction. Within hours, hundreds of likes, shares, and comments poured in. Incredible talent for an 8-year-old. This girl has a future. The colors are so alive. Amazing. Back at school, Amara's friends started to notice. "Is that your painting?" One of them whispered, pointing at a tablet displaying the school gallery on social media. "Yes," Amara said quietly, almost afraid to believe it. By lunchtime, the gallery link had been shared by parents, teachers, and even local community pages. The painting, once the source of ridicule, was now the center of attention. Even Samantha noticed. She scrolled through her phone, disbelief etched across her face. "Wait, people actually like it," she muttered, her voice barely audible. The day after, the school announced a small art exhibition in the auditorium. Every student's art would be displayed, but Amara's painting was highlighted on the main screen, scrolling across the projector with a spotlight on it. When she entered the auditorium, she felt nervous, unsure if she could face the crowd. But the moment she saw students whispering in awe, teachers nodding appreciatively, and her painting shining under the spotlight, her chest swelled with pride. A local news crew had even come to cover the exhibition. "Amara, would you like to say a few words about your painting?" the reporter asked. Amara took a deep breath. "This painting, it's about how everyone has something inside them that can't be dimmed, no matter what people say, no matter how they treat you. Your colors matter. Your story matters." The room fell silent. Then, one by one, the audience clapped, softly at first, then louder, until the applause filled the room. Back at home, Latoya watched a live stream on her laptop, tears in her eyes. "You see that, Amara? That's the world recognizing your brilliance. That's you shining." Amara smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest she hadn't felt in months. "I guess maybe I am a star," she whispered, glancing at her mother. By the evening, the video of Amara speaking about her painting had gone viral on social media. Millions of views, thousands of shares, and endless comments flooded in. "This little girl is teaching us all how to be brave. Her painting is stunning, but her words incredible. She's 8 years old and already so wise. What a role model." Even celebrities shared the video, amplifying the story further. Amara's story was now beyond her school, her neighborhood, her city. It had touched hearts across the country. The next day, at school, things had completely shifted. Students who had once laughed at her were now staring with awe and curiosity. Some apologized quietly, others just nodded respectfully as she passed. Samantha, who had mocked her just days ago, looked down, biting her lip. I didn't mean," she started, but stopped. She couldn't find the words. Amara walked past, holding her painting close. She didn't need to say anything. The world was already noticing her brilliance. And that was enough. Even the principal, who had often been too busy to intervene before, smiled as she walked by. "Amara, your work is inspiring. Keep it up," he said warmly. That evening, Amara placed her painting on the wall above her desk at home. For the first time, she truly looked at it not as a piece of paper, but as a testament to her courage. Her mom hugged her tightly. "You turned their laughter into applause," Latoya whispered. Amara smiled through tears. She had been humiliated. She had been laughed at, but her art, her voice, had made the world stop, listen, and recognize her. Have you ever been underestimated or laughed at, only to prove everyone wrong? Share your story in the comments. We want to hear it. The morning sun peeked through the blinds, casting warm stripes across Amara's bedroom. She stirred awake, groggy, until her mom's excited voice rang from the living room. Amara, come here quick. You need to see this. Groggy but curious, Amara padded down the stairs in her slippers. Her eyes widened as she saw her phone screen. Notifications were flooding in. Her painting, the one Samantha and a few classmates had laughed at just days ago, had exploded online. Millions of views, thousands of comments. People from across the country were praising her talent and courage. Mom, is this real? She whispered, her voice trembling. Latoya nodded, tears brimming. Yes, baby girl. The whole world is seeing your light now. Amara stared at the screen in disbelief. Comments like, she turned humiliation into art. This little girl just taught us all about courage. Her colors are amazing, but her heart, that's the real masterpiece. She couldn't believe it. People she had never met were celebrating her, not just for her painting, but for the story behind it. Her resilience, her courage, her refusal to let the cruelty of others define her. At school that day, the halls felt different. Students who had ignored or laughed at her before now looked at her with respect. Some whispered words of encouragement. Others asked her questions about her painting. Samantha, who had mocked her so mercilessly, finally approached her, awkward and silent at first. I'm sorry, Amara, she stammered, eyes downcast. Amara paused, her heart racing. She could feel the old sting of humiliation, but something inside her had shifted. It's okay, she said softly. I just hope you've learned that words can hurt, and kindness can change everything. Samantha nodded, and for the first time, Amara noticed a flicker of humility in her former tormentor. Meanwhile, the local news station had picked up the story. Today, an 8-year-old artist from Lincoln Elementary is inspiring people nationwide, the reporter announced. Amara Johnson's painting, created in the face of bullying, has gone viral on social media. Her work is being praised not just for its beauty, but for the powerful message it carries about resilience and self-worth. Amara's mom watched from home, holding her daughter's hand. They're calling you a role model, baby girl, Latoya said, voice trembling. Amara could hardly believe it. A painting that had once been mocked was now hanging in the digital hearts of thousands. Even celebrities had shared it, and people weren't just admiring her skill. They were inspired by her courage, her story, and her ability to rise above cruelty. The school principal announced a special assembly that afternoon. Students, teachers, and local news crews gathered in the auditorium. A giant screen displayed Amara's painting as she walked onto the stage. Nervous but proud, everyone, the principal said. Amara Johnson has shown us the true meaning of courage. Her story has gone viral, reminding us all that our differences are our strengths. Please give her a round of applause. The auditorium erupted in cheers. Some students even wiped away tears. The same classmates who had laughed at her just a week ago now stared in awe. Amara stood at the podium, her hands gripping the edges. Her voice shook at first. When I made this painting, I was sad. I was hurt. Some kids laughed at me because of my skin, because I was different. But I kept painting, because I wanted to show the world that I am proud of who I am, and you should be proud of yourself, too. The applause grew louder. People were moved, inspired, even emotional. Cameras flashed, recording the powerful moment. By the end of the day, Amara's story had reached national news networks. Her painting was being discussed on morning shows, social media platforms, and even in art communities online. Every news segment emphasized her courage, her talent, and the strength it took to rise above cruelty. Amara couldn't believe it. The little girl who had been humiliated, laughed at, and shamed for her skin color was now being celebrated across the country. Her mom hugged her tightly. You see, baby girl, you didn't just make a painting, you made a difference. Amara looked at her artwork, hanging proudly in her bedroom now. no longer a simple piece of paper, but a symbol of resilience. That night, she uploaded a short video to her own social media page. "Hi, I'm Amara. I want everyone to know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be proud of your skin, your voice, and your story. Don't let anyone make you feel small, because you're bigger than you think." Within hours, the video had thousands of likes and shares. Fans from across the country commented, "You inspired me. I was bullied too, and your story gave me hope. You're amazing, Amara." Even teachers and school administrators sent messages congratulating her, praising her bravery and encouraging her to continue creating art. The next day at school, a crowd gathered around Amara during lunch. She held her painting carefully. Students who had once mocked her now asked questions about her technique, her colors, and her inspiration. She looked at Samantha, who was standing quietly at the edge of the group. Amara smiled warmly. "You see, it's not about them laughing at you. It's about how you respond. You can rise above it." Samantha nodded slowly, understanding at last that courage and creativity could change perceptions more than anger or revenge ever could. Have you ever turned a painful experience into something beautiful or meaningful? How did it change how people saw you, and how you saw yourself? The following weeks felt like a dream for Amara. The little girl who had once been humiliated for her skin color was now celebrated as a young artist and a symbol of courage. At school, the atmosphere had completely shifted. Students greeted her with smiles instead of whispers. Teachers praised her creativity and bravery, and even Samantha, her former tormentor, had begun to change. During art class, Mr. Reynolds, the local art teacher who first noticed her online, visited to speak to the students. "Class," he said, holding Amara's painting, "this work isn't just about colors or shapes. It's about courage, self-expression, and resilience. Amara here has shown us all what it means to rise above hate and shine." The students erupted into applause, and Amara's cheeks flushed. She had never felt this proud, this seen at home. Latoya framed the original painting and hung it in the living room. "This belongs here," she said softly. "Every time you look at it, remember how far you've come." Amara nodded. Touching the glass gently, she remembered the tears, the whispers, the laughter that had cut her so deeply. And now, she could see the journey, from humiliation to triumph, reflected in every brushstroke. The local community took notice as well. A gallery in town reached out to feature Amara's work in a youth art exhibition. Flyers were posted, and local news covered the story. People from all over came to see her painting, and many left moved to tears. One visitor, a young woman with brown skin, approached Amara. "I wish I had your courage when I was your age," she said. "Thank you for showing us that our voices matter." Amara smiled shyly. "I just wanted to show everyone that we all have something special inside us," she said. Soon, national media caught wind of Amara's story. Interviews, photo shoots, and live television appearances followed. Every time she told her story, she felt her confidence grow. Each retelling reminded her, she wasn't just a victim. She was a creator, a leader, and an inspiration. At school, the students who had once laughed at her began to approach her differently. Samantha, now remorseful, asked if they could collaborate on an art project. Amara hesitated at first but remembered her mom's lessons about forgiveness. "Okay," she said softly, smiling. "But this time, let's make something beautiful together." Samantha's eyes widened, gratitude and humility shining through. For the first time, Amara saw her not as a bully but as someone learning and growing. Social media continued to amplify Amara's work. Her painting was shared on educational platforms, youth empowerment pages, and even in national campaigns celebrating diversity and inclusion. People of all ages commented, inspired by her courage and talent. Amara began receiving letters and messages from kids who had been bullied, thanking her for giving them hope. She realized that her art wasn't just personal anymore. It was making a difference in the lives of others. Latoya watched proudly as her daughter navigated this new world. "You've done something amazing, baby girl," she said. "You turned pain into power, and you're helping others do the same." Amara nodded, tears welling up. "I just I want other kids to know they're not alone, she whispered. One afternoon, the school held an awards ceremony for student achievements. Amara's painting was selected as the highlight of the year. As she walked onto the stage to receive the award, the auditorium erupted in cheers. The principal, teachers, and even parents in the crowd clapped enthusiastically. Amara's eyes scanned the crowd. She saw familiar faces, classmates, some of whom had laughed at her. Now beaming with admiration, Samantha sat in the audience, clapping sincerely, a smile on her face. The principal handed Amara the award and smiled. You've shown incredible strength and creativity, Amara. We're proud of you. Amara held the trophy tightly, a mixture of pride and gratitude swelling in her chest. That evening, back at home, she placed her award next to her painting. She thought about the journey she had taken, the humiliation, the whispers, the laughter, and she realized something profound. She had survived. She had grown. She had transformed her pain into something that inspired the world. Her mom hugged her tightly. You're not just a little girl anymore, Amara. You're a young woman who's going to change lives. Amara smiled, feeling a sense of purpose she had never known before. And so, her life began to transform. Amara continued to paint, to share her story, and to inspire others. She spoke at schools, participated in community events, and encouraged children everywhere to embrace their uniqueness. Her journey, from humiliation to viral recognition, became a story of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of art. Have you ever seen someone turn a painful experience into a movement or message that helps others? How did it inspire you? Comment below. Your story matters. A year had passed since Amara Johnson's painting went viral. The little girl who had been humiliated for her skin color had grown into a confident, radiant young artist. Her art was no longer just a personal passion. It had become a symbol of courage, hope, and resilience for children and adults alike. At Lincoln Elementary, the school had dedicated a small gallery to showcase student art. With Amara's painting displayed in a place of honor, students walked past it every day, inspired by her story. The colors in the painting, deep browns, radiant yellows, and vibrant blues, seemed to glow even brighter than before. Amara stood in front of it, holding her little brother, Malik, on her hip. See this, Malik? She said softly. This painting shows that being different is beautiful. Always remember that. Malik's wide eyes reflected his sister's pride and strength. I want to paint too, he exclaimed, reaching for a nearby brush. Amara smiled and handed him one. Then let's make something amazing together, she said. The school's principal called Amara to speak during the morning assembly. She stepped onto the stage, clutching a microphone, her heart pounding with excitement and a touch of nerves. Students, teachers, and friends, she began, her voice clear and confident. I used to be laughed at. I was humiliated because of the color of my skin. Some of my classmates didn't believe in me, but I kept painting. And now, I want to tell you, your story matters. Your voice matters. And your art, your passion, your dreams, they all matter. The audience erupted into applause. Even some of the students who had once mocked her now stood, clapping and cheering with genuine admiration. Samantha, the former bully, stood nearby, her eyes glistening with tears. She raised her hand and waved. Amara caught her glance and smiled. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. Forgiveness, growth, and understanding had taken root. Amara's mom, Latoya, watched from the front row, holding back tears. She had seen her daughter's journey from humiliation to triumph, and she knew how far Amara had come. You did it, baby girl, she whispered to herself. You turned pain into power. News outlets continued to feature Amara's story. She was invited to speak at community events, art exhibitions, and even local schools. Children would come up to her, shyly holding sketches and paintings, hoping for encouragement. Amara always knelt down to greet them, offering kind words and inspiration. One day, a young girl approached her after a school talk. Amara, I get teased a lot for my skin too, but after hearing your story, I feel braver, she said quietly. Amara smiled warmly. taking her hand. "You're braver than you know," she said. "And your story is just beginning." Back at home, Amara sat at her desk, painting late into the evening. Her walls were now adorned with her work, each piece telling a story, each brushstroke a testament to her journey. The viral painting that had started it all hung above her desk, a constant reminder of her courage. Latoya peeked in. "Dinner's ready." "Baby girl," she said. "I'm almost done." "Mom," Amara replied. Then she looked up at her mother with a smile. "Thank you for believing in me, even when it was hard." Latoya knelt beside her. "I'll always believe in you, Amara. Always." The neighborhood had also changed. Children of all backgrounds were inspired to express themselves through art. The local community center started an art program in her honor, encouraging kids to explore creativity, diversity, and resilience. Amara often visited to help teach, her own story serving as a living lesson. She had learned that the world could be cruel, but it could also be beautiful, especially when someone chose to rise above the negativity and shine. One sunny afternoon, Amara sat in her backyard with Malik, painting together. Birds chirped, sunlight filtered through the trees, and the air smelled faintly of blooming flowers. She looked down at her little brother, seeing in him the same spark she had carried, the spark that no one could ever take away. She thought of Samantha and the classmates who had once laughed at her. Forgiveness had allowed her to grow, and compassion had allowed her to lead. She knew that her story, her painting, had changed more than just her life. It had touched hearts, inspired courage, and reminded people that beauty comes from resilience. Amara looked at her latest creation, a colorful depiction of children of all skin tones holding hands under a radiant sky. She smiled. "This is just the beginning," she whispered, and so, the little girl who had been humiliated for her skin color became a beacon of hope, a young artist whose courage and talent inspired a community and a nation. She had faced cruelty, endured ridicule, and emerged stronger than ever. And in the end, she had not only reclaimed her voice but also empowered countless others to embrace theirs. Her story, once filled with shame and laughter at her expense, had transformed into a testament of courage, creativity, and joy. Have you ever turned a painful experience into something positive that inspired others? Share your story in the comments below. We want to celebrate your courage too.
Thank you for watching all the way through. If this story moved you, the next one will surprise you in ways you won't expect. Go ahead and click the video on your screen. Your next story awaits.